Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. Do you sometimes struggle with your parenting role? Do you notice that sometimes you're repeating patterns that you learned in your own childhood? Maybe you are carrying childhood pain that has not been healed, and you notice that it is showing up in your parenting with your own children. Perhaps you yell or get frustrated easily. Maybe you are directing them or telling them what to do all the time, and you notice that your actions are affecting your relationship with your children. Well, parents, I totally understand this. I came from childhood pain and I learned how to be a relational parent with my children. And I can teach this to you as well. This podcast is all about learning how to heal the childhood pain that we are carrying so that we can foster healthy relationships with our kids. Join us every week for a new show, and we will dive into the healing and the fostering of healthy relationships with our children. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast and YouTube channel. This episode is like a part two of the last episode on punishment. And the title is If Not Punishment, Then What? Learning real alternatives that actually work. And I know parents that as soon as I say don't punish, and I have never punished my children. I have, but I've not punished them in a long, long time. And yet they are compliant. Uh, but I hear your fears. Like if I don't punish, am I letting everything slide? Uh, if I don't want to punish, but I don't know what to do or how to do something differently. What do I do differently that's going to reach my kids? And so this episode is going there, figuring out if I'm not going to punish, which I'm a firm believer against punishment, parents, because it's not relational. Um, but if I'm not going to punish, then how am I going to handle when my child is doing something I don't want them to do? All right, so let's get into it. First of all, I want you to know that punishment does not, or sorry, removing punishment doesn't remove boundaries. We still have boundaries with our kids, and relational parenting is boundaries. Actually, boundaries are healthy. Boundaries are healthy in a family and with ourselves and with our children, right? Our children need to respect our boundaries and we need to respect their boundaries. That actually is a healthy relationship to have boundaries, right? So removing punishment doesn't remove boundaries. And it changes how kids learn. So really, punishment, this controlling, this taking away things, this um, shaming, grounding, these kinds of things are unhealthy. But if we learn this new way, which I'm going to talk about, this tool, these tools of how we reach our children, then it changes how our kids learn, um, not whether they do. Because when we use punishment, we know they're not learning; they're just complying. They're just doing what we say to appease us, or not get in trouble. But they don't have it in their hearts. They don't feel it. Maybe they don't even understand why we're doing this or why they're being punished. They just see it as we're being unfair and it breaks relationship. So we don't want to break relationship with our kids. We learned in the last episode that connection is the foundation of our parenting role. It's a foundation of building strong relationship with our children so that we can make the most impact with them. And so punishment breaks that. So what punishment is actually trying to accomplish is what parents want. They want respect, they want responsibility, they want safety, they want accountability, right? But punishment aims for behavioral change. And kids actually need skill change, not just behavioral change. They need the skills. Like if they're acting out or doing something, it's because they don't have the skills and they don't know how to act differently. And alternatives work because they teach. These alternatives work because they teach the skill, okay? Whatever is missing that our children don't know, we're teaching them that instead of just trying to manage or control behavior. So the first thing is we talk a lot about this is that regulation is so important. Like we have to be regulated, which means that we're calm. Our nervous system is calm. We are not emotional. We are not reactional. Okay. And nothing works also when our kids are dysregulated. So our kids need to be calm. They need to feel safe because a dysregulated mind cannot problem solve, cannot be logical. So we always have to calm the mind down first with our kids and with ourselves. You can't reason with a flooded nervous system, and punishment escalates stress instead of reducing it. So when we punish them, we're escalating, we're increasing the stress, the dysfunction, the dysregulation of their nervous systems. So what we can do instead is we can co-regulate with them, right? We co-regulate with them by being calm ourselves. We use a calm tone with them where we're physically present with them, we're close. And then we slow everything down. So if our kids are speaking really loudly or really quickly, we can speak in a softer, slower tone, right? Helps to calm their nervous systems. And helping kids calm first is important before we try to address their behavior. All right. So calm is the curriculum here. We start with calm. Then we move into natural and logical consequences done right. So I'm going to just clarify the difference. Not consequences as punishment in disguise. Okay, so consequences must be related, they must be respectful, and they must be reasonable. So examples would be forgetting homework. Oh well, then you're going to get in trouble with your teacher, right? So that's a natural consequence. That's if you're playing rough with your toy, then your toy gets taken away. That's a natural consequence. If you refuse to clean up, then you're going to have a messy room, or um, you will have to uh, clean it up before you can have people over to your room, before you can have your friends over for a play date. Okay, that's a natural consequence, and it's not punitive. It's just kind of a fact, right? We don't have people over when our house is all messy. We have people over when our house is clean. In fact, we clean when we have people over, right? It's just polite to have a clean house when you're having people over. So honey, you got to clean your room because if our friends are coming over and they're going to hang out in your room, then you want to have the room nice for them. It's teaching values too, right? And thinking about other people. So an important note is that consequences teach best without shaming. So we're not using any shaming language. And then we teach skills instead of enforcing compliance. So, what are some of the missing skills that our kids might have? They might have they have trouble with emotional regulation. They have trouble with problem solving. They have trouble with impulse control, with transitions, with being flexible because they want to have, their dinner in the same bowl all the time, but that bowl's dirty now. Those kinds of things. So emotional regulation, problem solving, impulse control, transitions like moving from one activity to another, and flexibility. These are the common missing skills that our children might have. And then there's some practical skills that are practical alternatives to teaching these skills. So we can model, we can role play, like what if this happened to me? Or if you were that friend, how would you feel, right? We're role playing. We're practicing being calm. Okay, let's practice being calm right now. Okay, and you can show them how to be calm, what helps you to be calm. And you can break expectations into teachable steps. Like first you do this, then we're going to try this, then we're going to try this, right? Or let's try this first and see if you can manage that. And then we can move on to something bigger. So we're not teaching everything at once, but we're breaking it down into steps, especially like with our kids that are neurodivergent or have more challenges. Then we have to uh, simplify what we're teaching. And then if they could do better, they will. Okay, so we can teach them. We can say, okay, I know you can do better. I know you will do better, right? And that feels good to a kid. Okay, so then I teach this a lot, collaborative problem solving, especially with teenage parents and teenagers, because school counseling for over 17 years, I've learned this collaborative problem solving is really ideal when we're working with our kids. So we shift the power over. Instead of power over, we do power with. So we're going to align ourselves with them in the power, not be over them. And so we're inviting our children into solutions and we're building buy-in instead of resistance. It really works, parents. I've done this with my children many times. So what does it sound like? Okay. So I always use the method of questioning. I like questions because questions invite. Questioning is an invitation, but when you tell, you're directing. Okay, it doesn't feel as good. But when someone asks you a question and they honestly want to know what you think, that's an invitation, and that gives you confidence to answer and to think about what they're asking. So you can ask them, what's getting in the way? Like, what's getting in the way of you getting your homework done? What's getting in the way of you getting to school on time? What's getting in the way of you um, coming home on the bus at the right time? Okay? What's getting in the way? It's curiosity, but it's also like helping them to figure it out. And what do you need next time? I love that question. What do you need? What do you need next time? And I like to say, what do you need from me to help you? Like, what do you need so that you can get up on time for school? Do you need an alarm clock? Do you need me to wake you up? What would be helpful? Okay. Now you're aligned with them. Now they see you as an ally and not an enemy, not someone who's trying to get on their case and make them feel bad about themselves, right? Because you're trying to help them. And then the other question is, how can we solve this together? How can we solve this together, honey? Because I don't want you to have this problem over and over again. So maybe together we can solve it, right? That feels good in a kid's mind. And why does it work? It works because I'm sorry, it works because our kids feel good when we invite the problem solving. We give them confidence by involving them, and kids want autonomy. They want to know that they have some choice, and they protect what we help them create. Okay, so we help them create it, but because they were part of the plan, they have more buy-in. So we're going to get more compliance, not defiance. All right. And then boundaries without punishment. So this is a reassurance that I want to give you parents. Boundaries are still non-negotiable, especially when it comes to their safety or your values. Okay, because your values matter as a parent. And their safety matters. And you feeling at ease with their safety matters. Okay. But the delivery, how we deliver the boundaries, that is what changes the way we talk about the boundaries. Okay. Not the limits. So alternatives to threats. This is what we can say. We can lay out our expectations clearly. We can say, no, I don't want you to go to that friend's house until I have met that friend and their parents. Okay, that's an expectation for your safety, honey, because I don't know them. and I love you and I want to protect you. Okay, so that's a good conversation to have. And follow through without anger. So, can you do this thing for me? Clean your room before I get home. And you say it calmly. Do you think that and I always say use a question because questions are really good. Do you think you could have your room clean by the time I get home? Because our friends are coming over at 6 o'clock, right? And then you have neutral reinforcement. Like neutral reinforcement is just like, um, you're not getting emotional about it, but you're just stating, like you broke the TV, so we can't use the TV now. How are we going to solve this? All right. And the fewer words that we use consistently, the better. Do not use too many words. All right. Nobody likes too many words. It clouds communication. So we have to say, this is the problem, right? This is the problem. You stayed out too late last night, and I was worried about your safety. There's the problem, right? How how can we fix this so that you're home at a reasonable time and you're doing what you have to do? Because I want to raise a responsible, um, kind adult. And these are the steps to do that. That feels good to a kid because now they have this expectation and your vision of how you want them to behave in the world. Okay, so the key thing is that we are not controlling, we are leading. Okay, so we're taking away control and we're leading by modeling, by our example, with our words, planting seeds of responsibility and doing the right thing, and the why of why we're doing the right thing, and our values, right? We are leading with those things rather than trying to control them. And we can repair instead of shaming them, right? Why repair matters more than the consequences. It's because mistakes are learning moments. And when our kids make mistakes, we should never shame them because they're kids and they're learning. And it doesn't matter what the mistake is. Failed on the test because I didn't study, or forgot to take the garbage out and we missed the garbage day. Whatever it is, whatever the mistake is, it's a learning opportunity. And our kids need learning opportunities, not us shaming them when they're in the process of learning. And we also are also teaching our kids that our relationship with them is safe. So we can repair and everything is going to work out because we love each other. That's relationship. You can make a mistake, you can apologize, and you can move through to that relationship again. As long as we're both trying not to do that again, right? Not to hurt each other again. Okay, so alternatives are we apologize and we model apology, right? We model that to our kids and we don't force. We don't force apology with our children. We wait for them to apologize on their own, and they will if we model it. We make amends, we repair the relationship, and we rebuild connection. And kids learn accountability, responsibility without fear, right? It's going to be an internal compass for them because they learn it without being afraid of us. They learn it because they know we love them. So what does this look like by age? Well, basically, it looks like for toddlers that we're going to prevent, redirect, and connect, right? For young kids, we're going to coach them and practice. Okay, let's practice that skill. For older kids, we're going to collaborate more with them. And we're also going to give in to natural consequences because parents, we're raising adults and they have to learn what the natural consequences are. Like we have natural consequences. If we don't go to work, we don't get paid. If we're late all the time in the job, we risk the chance of being fired. our kids need to learn these things. You're late for school all the time. The principal might talk to you, or if you miss classes, or if you didn't get your homework done, you could possibly fail that course. But parents, their failing teaches them something. And so we don't want to get into the way or get in the way of them failing, because failure builds resilience actually. And if they can learn from it, the value is in the lesson. The value is in what did I learn from that? And we as parent leaders can say, all right, so yeah, you made a mistake. How what did you learn? How can you prevent it from happening again? What can you do next time? Right? Then we're taking that opportunity and we're providing them with a guideline for learning, right? Valuable lessons in their lives. And with teens, we need to give them trust because they're growing up and they want autonomy. So we got to give them independence. We got to give them trust. We have to be open to their ideas and what they're telling us that they want to try. And then we have to repair relationship too. If we have parent fear and we've stopped them, or, in the teenage years, I apologized a lot because of that, because of parent fear and just getting in the way of what they wanted for themselves, right? So, in closing, we're going to redefine effective parenting as punishment creates punishment creates short-term compliance. Teaching creates long-term capability. So when we're teaching them for their lifetime. And parenting is not about controlling behavior. It's about raising humans who can manage themselves. That's what we do. And we're not controlling them anymore. And we're giving them an opportunity to grow, to learn, to make mistakes, to relearn, and to accumulate the skills that they need. Then we are actually helping them to, to get into adult life uh, in a more productive, successful way. So we need to think about what skill might my child need instead of consequences. So building skills in teaching and regulating and talking to them and collaborating with them with the problem solving. This is the way that we can reach our children in a healthy way without using punishment. All right, parents, I hope that has helped you on your parenting journey and done a reframe in your mind about the negative effects of punishment and alternatives of how we can actually support and grow healthy human beings. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Take care. Thank you, parents, for joining the show today. If this show blessed you, changed you, or helped you in any way, I would appreciate a Google review or a review on my podcast. And I would love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Masterful Parenting, so we can get the word out to more parents about relational parenting. Thank you so much, parents, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.